Hello everyone, what is up? Long time no see. I have not blogged in a really long time because of coronavirus and because of the pandemic of police brutality. Everything that has happened with George Floyd, with Elijah McClain, with Breonna Taylor, it was too much for me. And I'm ashamed to say that it took George Floyd's death for me to just shut down and fully realize everything that's going on with Black people in our country and all over the world. I always have a lot of energy to create a lot of content, to just keep going. I've always been super disciplined and super dedicated to whatever I set my mind to. But once everything kind of started crashing down and, living in New York, I just really had time to absorb all of this and think about all of this. It was just so overwhelming that apparently I took more than a month off of YouTube. And I took 2 weeks off of my podcast. I didn't take any real breaks from Instagram. Wait, that's a lie. I did take 1 week break in order to amplify Black stories and share those stories a little bit more. But you know what? I'm back now, ready and kind of recharged. Not really. Let's see. Today is Thursday and I had a really quick day at work actually today. No patients showed up. Today was my peds day, and the past few weeks, things have been ramping up in my schedule. More patients have been showing up. They haven't necessarily been avoiding the hospital, but they have now. So, I don't know. I think we'll just have to wait and see how tomorrow goes, but hopefully everything will be okay. How are y'all doing? Don't forget to subscribe to me on here, put up some notifications because we're going to talk about something super important today, and that is my biggest regret as an optometrist. Okay, so I've been an optometrist, a practicing optometrist now for 5 years. Hold on, I need to get some water. I'm not placing brands, but I am. Anyway, so I graduated from SUNY Optometry in 2015. I graduated on May 31st, and then after I started working, I would say the first week or two of July. So we are actually right around now, up to my 5th anniversary. What I did in June was that I took a lot of time off. I'm talking about June 2015 now. I took some time off. I went on a medical mission trip with Sights on Health, which I have been going on, of course, not this year because of Corona, but that's what I did. And I started working pretty quickly, actually. And I actually so in the beginning, I had 2 jobs. One, part-time, I was part-time at an ophthalmology practice that also had a few ODs on there. So that was a really busy clinic where I saw a bunch of cool stuff, including a case of acute angle closure, which was really intense, life-changing to see, and it was great that I was able to help out a lady in her time of need, a lady patient. And at the same time, I also started working at an optical, and a boutique optical that sells high fashion frames and all that. So eventually, I started forming my own schedule. I started to make more time for working out, to make more time for just being at home. So I ended up switching over more to adding more days to the optical. Things shuffle around a lot in terms of optometry, and that's just kind of how it worked out for me. So I would always kind of patch together part-time jobs to make something work. And, somehow the constant always remained that optical shop. I was always constantly there. And, in a blink of an eye, I was there for 5 years. I really enjoyed working there. And, as one of my first videos on here is actually of me there, trying on some really cool frames, just completely changing what I thought about glasses and all of that. And it was 30-minute appointment time slots for each of my patients. I really got to know everyone in the neighborhood, and I got along great with the rest of my team. And our boss wasn't there all the time necessarily, but we got along good too. And, a lot of the things that I asked for did happen. Some things did not. So actually, real quick, one of the warning signs for me early on was that oftentimes this job tried to act in a sense that, gosh, I wish I could express myself better. All right, so the problem here was that work referred to us as family. For new grads out there, for you guys starting out, if your job refers to you, an employee, as family, that is your number one red flag. A job is not supposed to be family. A job is supposed to be a team where you work together towards a goal and you back each other up and you support each other's growth. Yes, family can be that too, but every single family that I know is a little dysfunctional, has some issues they have to work with. They get mad at each other, but at the end of the day, they are blood, and you are kind of stuck with your family whether you like it or not. That is not the case for work. Most states, you are working at will, meaning that, right, at any moment, if you're not in a contract, and even if you are in a contract, you can stop working and the relationship could end on either end, both on my end as an employee and as the employer. Hold on, I need a water break. So usually at this time, I like take a nap. I don't know. I've just been doing I'm not depressed, guys. If maybe I am, but I've been taking a lot of depression naps with this whole quarantine pandemic thing. Anyways, so back to being family. That's a big red flag. That's not what a job is supposed to be. And again, as the saying goes, people don't leave jobs. People leave managers. People leave leadership. So my biggest mistake was thinking that because I worked at this place for essentially 5 years, thinking that I owed them something and thinking that I had to be loyal and place myself on giving myself my own medal of trophy. I am so loyal. Look at me. I owe you something for doing something for me. Meanwhile, I never had a contract at this place. And basically, I'm jumping ahead. So in January, I got an offer for a new position and I was ready in terms of jobs and everything and acceptance to give a 2-week notice. But in my heart and in my mind, I was not ready to give 2 weeks notice. In my mind, I thought, oh my goodness, it's going to take this other person who invested 5 years in me a really long time to find my replacement. What are they going to do? And I felt so bad and I felt guilty for leaving that despite not having any contract, I said, you know what? I'm going to be great. I'm going to be good. And I'm going to work 6 days a week. I'm going to continue covering on Saturdays for at least 8 weeks so that this other person, my other job that I was exiting after being there for so long, so that they would have coverage and that they wouldn't suffer. And that was me putting myself on some weird pedestal. So I started my new job the first week of January, and January 2020. Are you following here? So January 2020, and every single Saturday of January and maybe 2-3 Saturdays out of February. I'm gonna look at my calendar right now. How many Saturdays were there in February? And I'm only saying this to all of you because I don't want you to repeat the same thing I did. Maybe you guys are smarter than me, but if I would have watched a YouTube video on this, then I wouldn't have done this, and you're gonna hear. So yeah, there was actually 5 Saturdays in February. So I said, all right, since I'm starting my new job, I do have to go, but I don't want to leave you guys without coverage. So I'm going to come in every single Saturday for about 8 weeks. All right. So I went can you see this? Every single Saturday in January. I went 3 Saturdays in February. I think I went the last 2, and then the first 2, I kind of did my own thing. So basically with my new job, I was going to have Saturday, Sundays off, which I have never had, right? I kind of always worked either some weird combination of Tuesday to Saturday or that sort of thing, right? So here I am doing all of this, and I was working really hard. And if you follow me on Instagram, you would have seen how crazy how running from point A to point B to point C I was going January and February. And I kept putting up polls being like, hey, who else is working 6 days a week this week? Let me know in the comments. And then a lot of you would like chime in and all that. By the way, follow me on Instagram. I'm way better at Instagram than YouTube or TikTok. I wish I was good on them. But anyway, so I would keep saying that. Oh my God, I need to stop for, I'm sorry, I need to stop for water again. Drink your water too right now, please. All right, so that's what happened, right? So January, that was crazy, 6 days a week. I was like, I was done. But in February, I kept telling myself, hey, Damaris, your very last day of working 6 days a week is gonna be February 29th. Come March 2020, Damaris, come March, you are gonna have Saturdays and Sundays off and many Mondays off too. So because of that, and because I was gonna have, like, thank God, like a lot of different, like, you know, like benefits, like holiday, sick time, vacation, like all these things that I never had before, I was like, oh my God, come March, I'm gonna be straight chilling. So I had planned out all of my weekends for March, all of my weekends for April. Like, I had everything planned because this was like my first big girl job, you know. That's just how it worked out for me, and I'm really grateful for it. And I had a great time learning all January, February. But mind you, remember again, I was still holding on to this Saturday job for the longest. So think about it. What happened in March? Yeah. COVID happened in March. So February 29th, we parted ways, said goodbye. I had worked an additional 8 weeks that I never needed to because I wasn't brave enough to give a 2-week notice. I wasn't brave enough to say, hey, I found something better, I couldn't do that. I had to chicken out and essentially stay on for longer. So that first weekend, March 7th, that first weekend was my cousin's baby shower. So I did that. But do you guys remember March 6th? On March 6th, Vision Expo was canceled. Vision Expo was canceled that day. I remember on March 6th, it was so raining. It was really raining outside. I went to spin class. That was the last day that I went to spin class. When I finished spin class, I called my mom and said, hey, I don't live with them. I'm like, I look young, but I live with my husband. Anyway, so I called her and I said, hey, you know how we were seeing in the news people from other states buying a lot of groceries in bulk? We should probably go. We should probably go and get stuff. And my mom was like, no, we don't need to do that. It's raining right now. We don't need to go. And I said, but a really big event in my industry got canceled, and I think we should go. So she said no, so whatever. And the next day I went to my cousin's baby shower, and I remember I went with my husband there, and we walked all the way home, and then things started getting weird. Do you remember how weird things started getting? And then the 13th and 14th, that weekend, I was planning on going to Connecticut because my husband's family's in Connecticut. And I wanted to see my 2 little nephews. But I don't remember exactly what was happening, but a lot of places started closing around the 12th and 13th. So when I heard that, I said, all right, let's see what happens. By Monday, you guys know what happened Monday. Total shutdown of absolutely everything. And you know what ended up happening? March, April, May, June, July. I'm in July right now. And I only got to enjoy 2 real weekends in February. Because of the new normal, because of everything that is happening right now. What was the point of me working 6 days a week? Of me feeling like I owed something to someone? Of me feeling like I had to give myself a medal for being so honorable, for being so loyal? Get the hell out of here, Damaris. What's wrong with you? Look at what the world literally was flipped on its head upside down. What if I had, like, God forbid, like, what if something happened to, like, me or one of my family members? And what I did all of February was work. What was the point of that? I wasn't trying to pay off student loans. I wasn't trying to, like, make up anything. I was giving myself extra work because I felt like I owed something to someone for no reason. You don't owe anyone at your job anything, especially if you're good intentioned and you have, contributed significantly to them. And don't ever allow yourself to be guilt tripped by a superior, by a leader like that. Because I also think I'm very gullible, at least I used to be, and I was guilt tripped into staying. Back in January, note this, guys, back in January 2020, my boss told me, oh, hey, it's actually been super hard, finding a replacement. Well, we're in July 2020, and last I heard, still having a hard time finding a replacement. So what the hell were you thinking, Damaris? This is like a time warp thing. And this is a huge, like, PSA for anybody, I think in any career, in any career, in anything, but especially as an optometrist. Like, I just want to tell you that, if you're doing the right thing and you're doing the right move and you're not hurting anyone, you don't owe anyone anything. You don't need to work longer and harder, especially if you're not in a contract. And even if you are in a contract, there are ways around it. You're not being held against your own will. You don't have to feel like you have to be loyal to someone, even if they gave you a lot of things, right? Because otherwise that can be a form of abuse of power in a sense, right? Like, yes, you gave me certain things. Yes, you, like, paid for certain things, but, you don't own me. And I shouldn't feel like you own me. And I'm not saying that this employer, like, acted in a way or anything like that, but it was all me. And I just want to save anyone else from this sort of situation too. Like, if you do not have a contract and you found a way better position for yourself, you just need to give 2 weeks. Maybe if you're being super generous, all right, 4 weeks. But don't ever, ever, ever try to work an extra 6 day that you don't need to, because, your life may never be the same and you won't even realize it. All right, that's enough for me. I hope you learned something from this. As I'm stuck at home still, I am thankful that me and my family, that we're all healthy. And yeah, let me know if you've ever had anything like that happen at your job or your work. And, best wishes for absolutely everything. Life as an optometrist is pretty awesome. It's what you make of it. And let me know in the comments what your thoughts are, what your worries are about contracts. Everything in that contract is negotiable. Even if you sign it, as long as you have a equal conversation with your employer, it can always be changed after the fact too. Let me know if you have any other suggestions for any videos, but I just really wanted to put this out there and let you guys know to not do that. Don't do what I did. All right, guys. Catch up with you later. Bye.